All right, let's talk about contact information. We have 2 locations. I don't know if you all know that we have a location at Creech Air Force Base as well, but we're located on the Building 20, which is the MPF building, 3rd floor. We own the whole 3rd floor. And then we noticed the time, 9 o'clock to 1500. You know, I'll be honest with you, I don't like those times, but we had to adjust those times and narrow it down a little bit because of the sequestration. We couldn't hire additional counselors, so I'm it for right now. And I can't handle all you customers throughout the day and my email customers and overseas customers. I just got to have some time for them as well because they're my customers as well. And but we're going to have some employees coming in, so we're going to expand those hours later on. And of course, we have a contractor at Creech Air Force Base that can assist the creatures out there. Okay, let's talk about your CCAF degree. I get this quite often. I get students coming in here and I go, you know what? CCAF degree is kind of like a joke, you know. It's a military thing, you know. Is it really all that important to do it? Well, it's important to the Air Force, but I want you to understand that your CCAF degree is an applied science in whatever AFSC that you're in, and it's accredited by SACS at the highest accreditation level. So it's no different than getting an associate's degree at CSN, for example, College of Southern Nevada. It's identical. It's not a military degree. It's actually a civilian degree. It just so happens to have some military training in it as far as credits is concerned, but it's a civilian degree equivalent to any associate's degree in the United States. Okay? It's an automatic degree admissions based on your AFSC, so if you go to tech school, you're automatically placed into the degree program, whether you like it or not. And you're accumulating credits along the way, whether you like it or not. Back in the day, 40, 50 years ago, a bunch of bulls got together and said, you know what? We want our airmen to at least have an associate's degree before they leave the military. Of course, nowadays, it's not unheard of that you get your bachelor's and master's along with it. But as an absolute minimum, you ought to complete your associate's degree. You can get additional degrees, but you have to have an AFSC in that area. So if you cross-train, you can have an additional degree. It's not unheard of to get rapid degrees one after another. Once you complete all the requirements of one, it usually means you fulfilled all the requirements of the other. And so I can flip you to one after another right away. Okay. This is the components of your CCAF degree. I know I'm standing over here and messing you up. You have 64 credits to complete your CCAF degree. This is from boot camp. 24 is usually your tech school. Sometimes you complete all of it, sometimes you don't. The leadership and management, typically from Airman Leadership School, but nothing says you have to wait until Airman Leadership School. And a 15 program elective, that's any general education requirements. And then you have 15 general education requirements. Now, this is what I typically see. When a student comes in and we look at their records, what I often see is this 15 education requirements left, and that's it. 5 classes or 5 tests, and that's it. The rest of it, generally, you complete, especially if you went to ALS. Okay, so you must complete your CCAF degree before you separate from the military or before you get commissioned, okay, if you decide to go that route, unless you're going through reserve and guard. Okay? If you complete all of your requirements before your date of separation, we still can get your degree after 6 years after your date of separation. So all you have to do is contact an education specialist, and then we can go ahead and get your degree. But it's very, very important that you must complete all your requirements before your date of separation. That doesn't mean it has to be loaded. You just need to fulfill those requirements. Okay, I get this quite often. A student will come in for initial counseling, and I'll sit there and I'll pull up their CCAF record, and as I'm going through it, the student will go, oh no, but I went to college already. What? Why do you tell me that now? So now I'm stuck, because I don't know exactly where you're at, and I don't know where to take you, because I have to wait until those transcripts get loaded. Now, when you submitted your transcript to the recruiter when you first got in, those transcripts didn't go anywhere. It didn't go to the Community College of the Air Force. So we have to request another transcript and have it sent directly from the institution to Community College of the Air Force. If you put your hand on it, you invalidated it. If I put my hand on it, I invalidate it. It must go from institution to institution. So if you have previous credits, what you need to do right away is to send those transcripts to Community College of the Air Force and have them start loading it up. It takes 5 to 6 weeks for them to process it after they get it, so it's a time-consuming process, so we need you to start right away. Once the credits are loaded, then I know exactly where you're at, so I know exactly where to take you at that point. Okay? The CLEPS and Dante's testing, if you go to the National Test Center here on base and take a CLEP or Dante's test, the Air Force will pay for your transcript to be sent to whatever location you want it to go. Most people will pick CCAF as that location, but we'll pay for only one. So what does that mean? That means if later on down the road you want to go after a bachelor's degree at Ashford University, for example, you have to order another transcript, pay the $30, and have it go to that school. Okay? But for CCAF, it's automatic. It's automatic. The Air Force pays for that. Okay. Next slide. Okay, these are 3 schools we have on this base. Every base has different schools. And in our case, we have Embry-Riddle, an aeronautical engineer school. We have University of Oklahoma. They are concentrating more on criminal justice and human resource. And of course, we have College of Southern Nevada, primarily here for the purpose of helping you complete your general education requirements. Okay? It is a requirement that on-base schools are regionally accredited at the highest level of accreditation. So you don't have to worry. If they're on base, you don't have to worry about their accreditation. You know they have to be the highest accreditation. Okay. Nothing says you have to go to these schools. In fact, choosing a particular school is entirely up to you. The Air Force does not get involved with that process. We almost can't. It's almost borderline illegal to do that. We can't promote one school over the other. Okay? So selecting a school that appeals to you is entirely up to you. Nothing says you have to go to the school on base. You can go and apply for a bachelor's degree on an online program from a school in the East Coast, like American Military University, for example, which is strictly an online school. Now, let me digress a little bit and talk a little bit about the difference between in-classroom credits versus online credits. I get this every now and then. Oh, is taking online classes just as good as taking a class in a brick-and-mortar institution in a classroom? It's no different. It's no different. The methodology is different, but the outcome is still the same, and it's both accredited at the same level. So, so let's say you decide to go for an interview. You're out of the Air Force, you're going for an interview, and on your resume you said you achieved got a bachelor's degree from American Military University, for example. Not likely that the employer is going to sit there and go, is this an in-resident school or an online school? I doubt that they'll ever get to that point. But if they do, and you say it's an online program, and the employer cringes, your response is, sir, there's no difference here. That online program is accredited at the highest level, just like their resident program. And they shouldn't be in a position to challenge that because it was approved by the Department of Education. Okay? AUABC program. One of the problems with a CCAF degree is that it incorporates your military training. You achieve a certain amount of credits from your military training. The problem with that is that the civilian institutions out there will look at these credits and go, how do I apply those credits into my civilian program? And that's why CCAF degrees can be problematic, can be complicated. And so what you have to do is you're forced into a negotiation process with the school. you are going to bombard that school with all your transcripts, and then your school is going to analyze all your credits and determine what they will accept or not accept. Every school has their own criteria. But under the AU-ABC program, the schools have already analyzed those credits and will guarantee accepting all 60 credits from your CCAF degree. What does that mean? No negotiation anymore. You don't have to sit there and battle with them to push or argue the point of accepting a particular credit. They will accept it. And that means all you have to do is 60 more credits to get your bachelor's degree. An outstanding, outstanding program. No negotiation process involved at all. Okay? When you come to me with your CCAF degree completed and you're ready to pursue your bachelor's degree, this is the first place I will take you so that you can understand this particular program. It's an outstanding program. Anybody have any questions with this particular program? It's a great way to maneuver an associate's degree right into a bachelor's degree. Next slide, please. Tuition assistance. As you know, recently our tuition assistance program was suspended. And we had a lot of people upset. They felt like the rug was pulled from underneath them. Everybody felt that this tuition assistance program was an entitlement. They deserved it. But as you can see, it can go just like that. Now, everybody was up in arms. Congress got involved. They passed a law signed off by Obama and reinstated the tuition assistance program back to where it was, which is right now $250 per semester hour, $4,500 per fiscal year. You can only use it towards a regionally or nationally accredited institution, and we can pay all the way up to the master's degree. This is for FY13. We don't know what's going to happen in FY14. Because of that uncertainty, my office has been extremely busy right now. Everybody wants to grab that TA before it goes away. Our suspicion, but don't quote me on this, our suspicion is it will drop. It will drop from 100% to 75%, back to the old days. Okay? But we don't know for sure. We'll have to wait until Congress spells it all out for us. Next slide, please. Okay, there's been some changes, and one of the changes is that you have to apply for TAs 10 days before the start date of the class. Now, we will still help you along. I mean, you still can put a TA the day before, but you risk something, and that is you risk us not being able to get to it. You must have an approved TA before setting foot in the class, or you risk paying for that class if you get a disapproved TA. Okay? All right. You can submit a TA 60 days out, 60 days, or no more than 60 days out. So as soon as you're within the 60-day window of the class start date, you can put a TA request in. All right now, we're trying to educate a bunch of officers at Creech. They seem to want to make me do their TA once the class starts. Now, I can go in there and do it, but it burns me up because they have a 60-day window. For some reason, they're not complying. A new change down here, GPA requirements. A little tricky here. Okay? It says here, if you're going after a bachelor's degree, you have to have a 2.0, and this is tuition assistance GPA. Let me explain that. If you submit tuition assistance requests, we're monitoring you to make sure you get appropriate grade. If your GPA is less than 2.0, and that's tuition assistance GPA, then we stop your privileges. You can come back to me the next day and say, hey, but my overall transcript from the school is 3.7. It's irrelevant. We're calculating only the tuition assistance GPA, and it's really a heartburn to a lot of people because in a lot of cases, in your degree program, you're running a higher than a 2.0 GPA because you pay for classes either your own pocket or maybe the GI Bill or some federal grant, and your GPA is much higher than the 2.0. But we can't consider that. We only consider the GPA associated with your tuition assistance. Please understand the subtle difference between the two. Okay. In a graduate program, you have to have a 3.0 or you're suspended. So what are you going to do? If you're suspended, your next class you have to pay on your own or some other means, then come back with that grade and we run the calculations again. If you're above 2.0 or 3.0, depending on what program you're on, we can reinstate the tuition assistance. It is a humbug. I totally don't like it. Absolutely don't like it. In fact, we fought and fought and fought on your behalf to overturn this. We won in one case, and then air staff stepped in and turned it around again, and so we're stuck with this again. All right? So, C or better. That's what I tell everybody. B or better for a graduate program. Next slide. Okay. We also have tuition assistance for vocational training or certification. It is the same $4,500. The same $4,500. In other words, you don't have a $4,500 to pursue a degree and a separate $4,500 to pursue a certification. It's the same money. So if you decide to use this money for some schooling, some classes, and a certification simultaneously, you're going to use up that $4,500 rather rapidly. So we suggest that you go in sequential. So take care of your bachelor's degree or your associate's degree, whatever degree, and then once you're done with that, take a look at some certification programs. There's 1,000,001 certification programs out there. I mean, 1,000,001. But we can only pay for an institution that's accredited, either at the regional level, national level, or specialized level. We don't want you to, or we don't want the Air Force to pay for a certification that doesn't have some oomph behind that certification. So that's why we insist that you get, it's required by reg that you get a certification from a regionally accredited institution. Okay. You get one in your lifetime, and I have done many of them. I've done semi-truck driving, I've done HVAC, I've done masseuse, I've done cosmetology, bartending, you name it, I've done it. You know, as long as the person is going to an accredited institution, you can do it. It works a little bit different. You have to come to our office, and we work the issue for you. In other words, we're the one that cuts the TA for you. Unlike going for a class where you can go online and submit a TA request, we're the ones that, and then we end up approving it. And when it comes to certification, we actually create the TA for you. Okay. We have to make sure that you're getting this certification from a legit institution. And there's some bad ones out there. Air Force spends a lot of time shutting them down. All TA policies and conditions apply, which means $250 per semester hour. You know, anything above that, you have to figure out who's going to pay the difference. You can use a GI Bill in conjunction with it. Federal aid, personal funds, it's up to you. Okay. The Education Office also runs the testing program. There's many testing programs out there. I'm one of 5 test control officers on this base. So my particular area is these items over here, the SAT, ACT testing. We do it twice a year, typically in June and November time frame. A lot of people jump on this because they want to get into a commissioning program, and some of the commissioning program requires SAT, ACT scores. I also handle GMAT and GRE, but we can't administer that test at our test control facility. We're not authorized. So you'll be going and taking this test off base and then coming and see me for reimbursement. You'll pay up front, and then we'll go through the paperwork to get you refunded. Everybody knows that we do the CDC testing and the PME testing. We do Klepp and Dante's testing out of the National Test Center. I oversee that program. Let me talk a little bit about that. I don't know if you've heard the rumors going around, but a National Test Center is typically a test facility at a university, operated by a university. We were lucky to have one university actually establish one here on base. We got away with that because we had the volume. Remember, it's not our test control facility. It's the university's test control facility, so it's manned by university employees. So the Air Force pays the school $20 for every test taker that comes into that room and takes the test. Whether you fail or not, it's irrelevant. The university gets $20. But you got to imagine how many people we need to have to go through our test center in order to just to pay the wage of that test examiner, which is about 30, 35, maybe 40,000 a year. So we have to have the volume. And it just so happens that the Nellis Air Force Base had the volume. They liked it. They decided to establish a national test center on this base. Regis University stepped forward and did it. But yesterday, Regis University pulled out, basically shut down our national test center, or their national test center. But we're lucky, because National University stepped up, and they're going to take over it, and we think we're going to be ready to go in about Wednesday, Thursday of next week. So that we have a little hiccup there. But that's okay, because if you're studying for the test, study another week or two, and then you'll be in there. Okay, we also do language testing, the DLPT. If you have a foreign language you want to get tested on, we'll do that. And the DLab is just to see if you have the competency to learn a foreign language, which is required in a lot of your jobs. All right, next slide. Real quickly, the National Test Center. It's also located on Building 20, Room 300, a couple doors down from the Education Office. They do strictly Klepp-Dantes testing. The testing varies. It's based on the website. The website is not established yet. National University hasn't given us a link. We expect that to be given to us in a couple of days or so, by Wednesday or so. The same phone number exists, so if you have any issues, you can contact them directly. And the email, they're going to change as well, and that's to be determined here in the next couple of days or so. Okay? It's a great, great program. The Klepp-Dantes is a great program. And here's the reason why. You guys are all military members, and because of your service, it plays havoc on your ability to be in a particular classroom at a given time. TDYs, PCSs, deployments, exercises, shift changes, all these things really plays havoc on your ability to be in a classroom at a given time. So that's why Klepp-Dantes test is so popular. All you have to do is take a couple of weeks of studying and test out of that class. All right? But you got to do some studying. Don't let a supervisor pressure you into, hey, I'm not going to give you a 5 level unless you go and do something, and then you run to my test facility and just whip out a test and then end up failing, Doesn't make sense to do that, because remember, Klepp-Dantes testing is in pursuit of a degree, primarily your CCAF degree. So we don't want you to just come in there and just take it because your supervisor says, I ain't going to give you a 5 level unless you do something. That's not right. And I'd be happy to talk to that supervisor. All right. Okay, so at least do some studying. Usually about 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks of good, solid studying. And then take a shot at it and see what you do. If you pass the test, you're done with that requirement of your CCAF degree. All right? Really great program. Okay. Where do we get the study material? Actually, it shouldn't say study material. It actually should say test prep material. And here's a subtle difference why. You can go to a base library, or you can go to a website. There's a number of different websites. Here's a suggested website, but there's 1,000,000,001 websites out there that can help you pass a Klepp-Dantes test. Remember, I do some feedbacks every now and then, and this is a common complaint. Well, I went to the website, and I went to the base library, but it just didn't give me enough information. I was looking for more. I was looking for content material. Remember, you're taking a Klepp-Dantes test because you're supposed to have competency in that area already, and that's why you're testing out of it. If you're looking for the curriculum and you want to study the curriculum, then you ought to be going to class, really. Okay? So these tests, websites or the base library, is just to refresh your memory, to get you back up to speed. You're going to take a practice test every now and then, and then get refamiliarized with the subject matter that you're supposed to already know, and then go ahead and take the test. Okay? So it's not designed to give you the curriculum. Okay? Just want to let you know. Next slide, please. Okay, this is where it gets really, really busy here, because the GI Bill is a really complicated monster, really complicated monster. It's so complicated that we always have to do a disclaimer up front, and that disclaimer is that we're the base education office. This particular program, the GI Bill program, is not a base education program. It is a VA program. So, if you want accurate information, you must go to the VA website, not to the base education office. Now, most of us have a lot of experience in this area because we go over it over and over and over and over. And so we can probably answer quite a bit of your question, but if you have detailed questions, unique question, you ought to be asking that question or directing that question to the VA. Okay, so there's 2 GI Bill programs out there. Most of you are in the Montgomery GI Bill, which is the left-hand side. Okay, this is a Vietnam vintage type program. It was designed during that era primarily to help you folks get a certification or vocational training, because back then it was unheard of that airmen were getting bachelor's degrees and master's degree and so forth. They were mostly going after certification and vocational training. So this GI Bill program primarily focused on that area, whereas the post 9/11 primarily focused on degree programs like your associate's, bachelor's, and master's degree. Had very little in certification vocational training until recently. About a year ago, they passed a law. They incorporated all the certification policy on the Montgomery side and shifted it to the post 9/11, making post 9/11 an outstanding program for any degree or vocational or educational pursuit that you desire. So, hence the reason why everybody jumped ship and went over to the post 9/11. But there's a misconception, and I want to clear this up right away. There is no such thing, there is no website that you go to switch or transfer from one to the other. It does not exist. Everybody and their mothers will say, hey, you need to switch to the post 9/11. There's no such thing as that. It does not exist. Okay? What you have is, you have the Montgomery GI Bill. You paid for it based on time, 3 years, and the $1,200. You paid into it, so you're eligible for that. In the post 9/11, the only thing you needed to pay is 3 years of active service, then you're 100% vested in that program, so you paid into that, or you would be paying into that. So you're eligible for that one too. So when you're ready to use it, and we'll define what that means later on, when you're ready to use it, all you simply have to do is ask for it. If you want the Montgomery GI Bill, you ask for the Montgomery GI Bill. If you want the post 9/11, you ask for the post 9/11. When you go and ask for the post 9/11, in the application process, it's going to instruct you to relinquish the Montgomery to continue with the application. That's where the so-called switch occurs. It occurs when you ask for the funding, when you're ready to ask for the funding. So let's define when you're ready. Well, under the post 9/11, you might want to consider transferring your entitlements to your dependents. This is the only program that allows you to do it, transferring your entitlements to dependents. Okay. So, if you're at that point in your career that you're allowed to do that, that's when you're ready to ask for this fund or to transfer. Okay. The other one is if you're getting out of the military and you want to become a full-time student. You've already contacted the school. You know where you're going. You're going through the acceptance process of that school. That's a good time to ask for that money. So you don't have to do it right now. There's no need to do it right now. In fact, we recommend you stay in the Montgomery GI Bill because under the Montgomery GI Bill, it's better for you. It's better for you because of the speed of which you use up your months. You have 36 months of entitlements. Under the Montgomery GI Bill, you use it up slower than the post 9/11. That's why we suggest that you stay in the Montgomery. But ultimately, it's your choice. You're eligible for both. You can ask for either one. Either one. It's up to you. Okay. Now, I usually open the floor for questions in this area because many people usually have a ton of questions. Anybody have any questions in this area?
I have a question.
Sure.
I was looking into it about 6 months ago, and it said to transfer it to my child I would have to extend for so many years. 'Cause
Okay.
once I sign, I have to say I've got this much time. Now, since we're in here because we don't know where we are, and I don't know if I'm going to re-enlist or not. Is there a way I could start it now, and then if I don't re-enlist, it obviously wouldn't go to my child. But if I decide to re-enlist, do I get grandfathered in that I signed it on this day and I only have 3 more years to finish?
Okay. These are very good questions. And for those who didn't hear, her question deals with transferring entitlements to dependents. So and you were talking about your children, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's talk about kids. You must, if you want to transfer entitlements to your child or children, you must be in the military for 10 years first before you can make that decision. After 10 years, you can go ahead and transfer entitlements to children, but you must accept a 4-year active duty service commitment, which means you must have the retainability. If you, in your current term, you only have 3 years left, you'll be rejected initially because you don't have 4 years of retainability. Then you'll go down to the second floor at the MPF building, extend for another year, and so that you have 4 years, and then you can go ahead and effect a transfer. You're obligated to that 4 years active duty service commitment. If for some reason you decide you don't want to fulfill your obligation for whatever reason, and you pull it back, we don't know if Air Staff will allow that though. But let's say Air Staff says, okay, we'll allow you to not complete your active duty service commitment. Then we pull back the transfer. Now, if the kids have already used some of it, they owe money to the VA. Okay. Now, if you want to transfer entitlements to your spouse, unlike with children, all you have to do is wait 6 years, and then you have to accept a 4-year active duty service commitment for a spouse. The spouse can use it right away, but a child must use it between the age of 18 and 26, or finish it up by age 26. Okay. So what does that mean? That means you can actually make a transfer right now if your child is 2 years old, assuming, of course, you reach your 10-year point. The child could be a baby. You can still make a transfer. You don't have to wait until they're 18. You can do that transfer right away, start your active duty service commitment right away, and then when they become 18, they can start tapping into it. Oftentimes, we recommend that at least give them, if you're thinking about doing transfer, but you don't know how many months at this stage, we recommend give them 1 month each, everybody 1 month each. Lock them into the system, start the active duty service commitment, and get that done and over with. And then shuffle the months amongst the children and the spouse later on down the road when you have a clearer picture. Okay? Good question, very good question. Anybody else have a question regarding the GI Bill? Yeah.
Sir, for the E5 housing rate, does that cover like vocational school?
It does. It does. Okay, so the question is the BAH portion of it. Okay, if you're outside the military, obviously if you're in the military, you don't get the BAH portion of it. But when you separate from the military or retire, but you're outside the military, you can tap into the BAH portion of it. The BAH is E5 with dependent rate of the zip code of the school. Okay, you have to be a full-time student, 3/4 to full-time student to get that money. It does not matter what program you're in. It matters on your status, whether you're a part-time, full-time status. If you're 3/4 of full-time status, it doesn't matter whether you're doing a cosmetology program or pursuing a degree. As long as the school says you're a full-time, you get that BAH, full BAH. If you decide to go to a program that is strictly an online program, you don't get the full BAH. You only get 1/2 of the national rate, which is about $640. So in effect, what you're doing is pissing away a lot of money. So we always encourage you to go to a school where you can set foot in the classroom. That way you get the full BAH and you're not wasting that money. Ultimately, again, it's up to you. All right. What was that? Okay. Yes?
Can you start using your MGI bill and then transfer over if you use some of the MGI?
You can. The question is if you start your Montgomery GI Bill, can you still transfer over to the post 9/11? You can, but what's going to happen is when you get into the post 9/11, you're going to get 36 months minus whatever you used up in the Montgomery GI Bill. Oh, and the other thing is, everybody asks me this question about their $1,200. Do I ever get it back if I move to the post 9/11? You can under one condition and only one condition. you exhaust all the months in the post 9/11, you can get your $1,200 back as a BAH payment. Now, I tell you right now, that's trickery on the part of the VA because statistically speaking, most people don't use up all of their entitlements when they get out of the military. And the VA knows it. That's why they put it at the aft end instead of the front end. So they can keep that money and pay other people the education. Any other questions regarding the Montgomery GI Bill? Yes?
How long does it take to get the BAH for the post 9/11?
How long does it take? Good question. It depends on the school. What you're going to do is during the acceptance process, you're going to apply for the GI Bill. It takes about 30 to 45 days to get a certificate of eligibility confirming that you have the GI Bill. You're going to hand carry that to the school and you're going to give it to the school. The school then is a certifying official. So the minute that you take classes, they're going to take a look at how many classes you take to determine your status, whether you're a part-time or full-time status. And then once they determine that, they're going to send a confirmation to the VA, and the VA will then start sending the money to the school or to you by way of BAH and book stipend. And that usually and it depends on the school how quickly they do it. It usually takes another couple of months or so at the most, okay? Especially the first time around. The first time is always hardest because you're getting into the system and so forth. After that, it's fairly easy because they already know what school you're going to and all that kind of stuff. So plan for that. Plan for that up front. You know, it does take some time initially. You know. Any other questions regarding the GI Bill? We do have briefings every Thursday at the education office, 1400, every Thursday on the GI Bill. So later on down the road, you're contemplating what you want to do with it, then come on in and let's talk about it, okay? It is an extremely lucrative program. So if you decide you want to use it while in the military, we're going to sit down and talk a little bit about that, you know, because it can be very lucrative when you get out. And so we want you to be real careful about deciding to use it while you're in the military. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this is where you would go to find information on the GI Bill. Again, you can come by the education office if you want. Basically, I'll point to this direction here, and then we'll pull it up, and we'll take a look at the particular area that you're interested in. You know, sometimes people are interested in flight school and things like that. We'll go right into the website. I'll show you where it's at, and we'll discuss it a little bit. Okay? When you decide to use it, you're going to go through this website, and you're going to fill out this form 22-1990. I have packets. I created packets. This is a complicated process, so I created packets at the education office. I have it electronic based, so if you want to know how to go through the step-by-step process of asking for these funds, then I can send it to you. It tells you exactly where to go with arrows and so forth. But it is a complicated process. If you want to share your benefits, it's not going to be this site. It's going to be this site, Milk Connect. Another complicated process. It's a government program, so you can expect complication. It's so much easier for me to look over your shoulder and tell you where to put the mouse direction or whatever you want to call it, the arrows, rather than following their instruction. Their instructions are so complicated, it's unbelievable. I can put you there in about 10 seconds. All right. Again, we do briefings every Thursday at 1400, so come by and see us. Next slide, please. Okay, we handle commissioning programs as well. I do commissioning programs twice a month, the second Wednesday and the fourth Wednesday of each month at 1400 or so. And typically what I talk about is these items. There are many, many other commissioning programs out there, but the education office doesn't deal with those. For example, attorneys, doctors, dentists. These are all direct accession commissioning programs that the recruiter deals with and we don't. These programs are programs that takes an enlisted person into this program, and that's why we get involved with that. So we're looking at OTS, a very popular program. You have to have a degree or very close to a degree to get into that program. We have AECP, which is currently suspended due to funding, but then we have the ROTC one, ASCP, POC, and SOAR programs. These programs are little difficult programs because it requires you to separate from the military. If you get accepted, you'll be separated from the military, and then you'll be just like any Joe Schmo taking college courses out there under the being overseen by the Air Force ROTC detachment out there. This particular ROTC programs, there's a high success rate to being picked up as an officer, but it has a high failure rate because you're outside the military now. You don't have the comfort of the military, you don't have the income, you don't have the medical, you don't have the dental, so it becomes a reality check when you get back out in the street, and now you have to be a full-time student getting your own job and on and on and on. So it has a low pass rate on that, about 50% pass rate. We barely touched in the academy. Typically, the person will contact the military liaison person or the academy liaison person here on this base. It's a lieutenant colonel. And between you, him, and the academy, you'll push the required documents for acceptance in the academy. The education office only signs off one portion of the document. So we don't get too involved with that. There are medical core programs, physician assistants, nursing program like NECP. These are the things that we're really deeply into because in order to participate in this program, you have to actually complete a certain number of courses, college courses. So we get involved with setting that up in your degree plan, in your education record. We'll set up a degree plan for you so that we can watch closely over your progress in completing those required classes to become eligible for this program. Once you hit the eligibility requirement, like for example, physician assistance is 60 credits. You have to have 60 credits and specific credits like chemistry and things like that. So we'll monitor you, and when you complete that program, then you're eligible for the program, then we kind of expect you to go ahead and apply at that point. So we do get involved more so in the education aspect of it. Next slide, please. It is possible. Here are three gentlemen here that was in your shoes at one point and went through a commissioning program, and now they're a bunch of butter at bars. All right? So it can happen. You have to be determined, but it can happen. Next slide, please. Okay, we do monitor other programs. Education leave of absence. That's if you are wanting to, let's say in a nursing program, you have to take certain clinicals, and it's during the day, but you work during the day. So your commander can get involved in this program and let you go ahead and take those clinicals at the college rather than you going to work. And it's a special type of leave that they can offer you. It's a rare occasion. I've only seen one approved in my career. CCAF professional management certificate we handle, but this is usually a master's degree, senior master's, and so forth. AMP, a lot of people might be interested in AMP certification program. The primary route is through Community College of the Air Force, but nothing says you have to go to them. You can go to a private institution and get this training if you wanted to, as long as the institution is what? Accredited. Okay. We counsel spouses and dependents, and we also handle civilian TA, which doesn't apply to you as well. But these are some of the programs that we handle. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, I put this statement up here. Actually, my boss put this statement up there to have you understand something about education. Education doesn't occur or happen just because you're lucky. It's something that you have to actually work hard at. It's a step-by-step, systematic process of chipping away at the degree plan until you finally get everything completed and you're done with it. Luck is not part of the equation when it comes to education. It requires you to come to my office first, and then we walk through a process. All right? Let me tell you, the next two slides shows what lucky is all about. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, take a look at this guy. He's coming down this road here, this way. He swerves, I don't know why, but he goes through this thing and ends up flipping and landing over here. Pretty lucky, right? But the next slide shows you how lucky he really was. He could have made it down there. And this is what lucky is all about. It has nothing to do with education. And so the point is very clear here. Luck is this. Lucky is not going after an education. You must come in and see us and start the process. Okay? I know I threw a lot of information out there. Some of you will absorb some of it. Some of you won't absorb any of it, but that's okay. The only thing I want you to remember, the only thing is come see me, and we'll get you started. Anybody have any questions? Last question?
As far as the CLEPs, since you're in the transition of college that's going to support it, is there some classes or are there CLEPs and Dante's list that we can start studying for until next week?
Yes, and this is you know, every counselor have certain techniques on how to give counseling, but part of my technique is to print out your CLEP and Dante's test matrix. It's actually in your record. So, and it's based on your AFSC. So I can pull that out. We can compare to your current record of what you have already completed and so forth, and I'll highlight certain areas that you can concentrate on. For example, if you didn't complete humanities, I can show you a list of tests in humanities. And I can tell you that analyzing and interpreting literature has the highest pass rate in humanities, for whatever it's worth. So yes, I can do that. I can pull that record out and we can go over it real carefully so you know exactly what to test out.
Would
Yeah.
all colleges offer the same list of programs, basically?
No, that's another good question. Is this test matrix also the same test matrix that the colleges have? We don't know, because every college is different. Some colleges won't take a CLEP or Dante's test. Some college will take it, but at a higher score level. So remember, when you take a CLEP or Dante's test while you're in the military, it is for the purpose of your CCAF degree. If it just so happens that the credits apply to your future school's bachelor's program, I would consider that bonus, icing on the cake. Primarily, you're doing it for your CCAF degree. Okay. Now, if you want, let's say you're done with your CCAF degree and you want to apply a CLEP or Dante's test towards your bachelor's degree, you have to coordinate that process with the school. The school will tell you which test you can take for which area of the degree plan. Okay? Any questions? What are you going to do when we're all done with all this stuff? Come see me. Appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Have a good day.